Hey everybody, Brian Neubert here again, live at home in my pajamas, covering Purdue basketball games off of TV during this unique 2020-2021 season. Missed a hell of a game in person tonight. Purdue's 67-65 win over number 15 Ohio State at Value City Arena. This is your wrap video following that game, brought to you by our friends at the Purdue Union Club Hotel. Next time you're planning a trip to campus, please keep them in mind. They are newly renovated, and they will knock your socks off, I'm quite certain. Dive right into it here. This job kind of makes you a bit of a nihilist sometimes. There's a reason sports writers are so jaded and numb to everything. It's because, in part, I think because we are exposed to so little that's actually genuine. A few years ago, my daughter's teacher was kind and foolish enough to invite me to come talk to their class about being a sports writer. And in the midst of terrifying all the children, one of the messages I wanted to get across to them was that part of what's fascinating about being a sports writer is that you get to view life through the prism of sports, when sometimes there are no walls, there are no curtains. Sports is life, and you get to see it unfold raw. I don't know if that makes any sense or not, but I think I was much more articulate with the children that day than I probably was with you just now. What you saw after this game tonight and during this game from Jaden Ivey doesn't make Jaden Ivey one of your all-time favorite players. You've got a block of ice right here, because that was really, neat. Not to sound like somebody who's necessarily affected by this, but a genuine human moment, and one that was really, really, I don't know what word I'm looking for here. Jaden Ivey puts every ounce of himself into this. Every ounce of himself. This guy wants it so bad, it's coming out of his ears, whatever that even means. He is that way. And, you all have heard by now that, Jaden Ivey was back on the floor after the Penn State game 10 minutes afterwards to work on his shooting, because when you put every ounce of yourself into doing something and you still struggle with it, that is never easy. It can't possibly be easy. I can't really speak from experience because I've probably never applied myself to that extent at anything I've ever done. But you can only imagine. This guy, wants it so badly, and to see that desire rewarded, if you're a human being, you have to view that as just a really neat thing, to see and understand his joy to the furthest extent. Just a really neat human moment on top of a really neat moment and accomplishment for Purdue basketball, obviously. Just, so many people have to be so happy for Jaden Ivey. This guy is just, he wears his heart in his sleeve. He's a genuine dude. Kind of where he's coming from. What he's all about. Where he wants to go. He doesn't really hide himself. And what this has become nowadays is everything is almost so scripted. Sometimes these press conferences we do, and it's not an indictment of the people on the other end of the screen. It's just kind of the nature of it, where they almost become more of a song and dance, more of like a performance, where we're pushing a button for Teddy Ruxpin to say this, he says that, and we're happy and we move along. And, to see a moment like that just made this job much more interesting than it always is. So I just wanted to say that right off the bat. Jaden Ivey comes up huge for Purdue. Absolutely huge, heroic performance by him. Purdue goes 5 of 20 from three-point range tonight, and they finish, I believe, 3 for 3. So that was, 2 for 17 they were prior to Sasha Stefanovic making the 3 in the final minute, and Jaden Ivey bookending that shot with his 2 threes. Every shot Jaden Ivey has made this year from the perimeter has been a big one. Maryland, okay, the one at Liberty, the 2 at Liberty, whatever it was, didn't matter as much. But Maryland, he arguably wins the game for you because he pushes back Maryland when Maryland's making its run. Indiana, he helps you put the game away with 2 big threes there at the end. And then tonight, obviously, he wins the game for you. Even if he didn't make the game winner, we would be telling the same story because the shot he made after Dwayne Washington made another circus 3 to put Ohio State up 5 with 3 minutes to go, whatever it was an enormous shot too. And it gets overlooked in all of this because he made an even bigger one later. Just a really, really, big time clutch performance by a player who's going to be great. I mean, I don't know if anybody can be watching this objectively and not see what Jaden Ivey can be one day, very soon. I know there's been a lot of consternation about, is he shooting too many threes? Is he settling for too many threes? There's a conversation there to be had. I'm telling you that. But I'm telling you that not because he's not a good enough shooter, but because he is so good off the dribble. I think, as confident as he is in his jump shot, if he uses his dribble to set up his jump shot periodically, that might be the balance for him periodically. But he is so good off the dribble that the 3-point game can obviously complement that. But he is just a really good all-around player, and he's going to be fantastic at Purdue. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's fantastic at Purdue by the end of this season, and this isn't just a deal where the injury has set him back to where the best doesn't come out next season. I think you're seeing him get better and better. You're seeing a confident player whose confidence is now being rewarded to a certain extent, and it's just making a huge difference for a team that is really figuring things out here. I mean, this has been a schedule for Purdue that could have made a team as young as Purdue, as I said after the IU game or the Penn State game, whatever it was. This was a schedule that could have taken a young team and made them 2-7, and Purdue is now not 2-7. What are they? 6-3 in the Big Ten, where it's the best, most competitive league in the country. Probably 500 gets you in the NCAA tournament easily. You're another win or two away from credibly saying, hey, we're in the Big Ten championship hunt. We're not just trying to get to the NCAA tournament here. You just struck a huge blow tonight toward the NCAA tournament because you just got another quad 1 win. You just won another big-time road game. Michigan State, if Michigan State doesn't get better, through the course of the year, I'll be shocked if that doesn't end up a quad 1 win. It's not often you can win at Michigan State and not get a quad 1 win out of it. But right now they're like 80-something and they need to be in the top 75. That could be a quad 1 win. If that's a quad 1 win, now you have 4 of them. 3 of them on the road already, if Michigan State moves into that strata. Purdue's put itself in a great spot here, and they're getting better. You don't win games like this. You don't win at Michigan State the way they won at Michigan State. You don't win at Indiana. No, I'm sorry, not Indiana. You don't win at Ohio State. I think Purdue's just better than Indiana. I think that's why they beat Indiana. You don't win at Michigan State or Ohio State the way Purdue did unless you're together, unless you're poised, and unless you just have a great relationship with one another. Everybody's on the same page here at the end when we need to be on the same page, that kind of thing. And I think that just speaks volumes about where Purdue is right now with 5 guys, whatever it is, who hadn't played a college basketball game as of 2 months ago. No seniors, all of it. Purdue is just, they're just ahead of the game right now. They're winning close games. They're coming up big when they have to. The last team that I saw win at Michigan State and Ohio State in succession, I know this isn't succession because Purdue played games between Michigan State and Ohio State, but that was the team that was going to the Final Four, I thought, after they won at Ohio State before Hummel got injured. That's how difficult. I know this is a different year, different teams, all that stuff, but winning at Michigan State, Indiana, and Ohio State is not easy. I know Purdue's had a lot of success against Indiana. It doesn't mean it's easy. But Michigan State and Ohio State, those are really difficult places to win. I think Purdue has won twice prior to tonight in Value City Arena. And tonight, obviously, they won an absolute, thriller, for a lot of reasons. Jaden Ivey was the biggest reason. He came up enormous. But Sasha Stefanovic, you have to give him just all the credit in the world here. He gets run off the 3-point line all night. He uses Ohio State's aggressiveness against it by beating Justin Ahrens to the basket I don't know how many times. So somehow Sasha Stefanovic, Justin Ahrens gets the honor this week of making Sasha Stefanovic look like Evan Turner. I'm not saying that to take away from Sasha Stefanovic. He did a great job being opportunistic, did a great job off the dribble, did a great job finishing at the basket. Just a great all-around offensive game from Sasha Stefanovic. But on a night where he didn't get many looks, he didn't get many good looks, he's ready to shoot at the end. Aaron Wheeler sets the screen on that play. Purdue is absolute fire right now, drawing up plays out of timeouts and baseline out of bounds, all of that stuff. Micah Shrewsbury, I think you have to give him a lot of credit here for the job he's done with Purdue's situational offense. Not just its offense in general, but its situational offense. When Purdue needs a bucket and he gets time with that team in that huddle, hey, lately Purdue's getting buckets. You got to give the players a lot of credit for executing it properly, for paying attention, all that stuff, but you got to give Shrewsbury a lot of credit here. Obviously, Painter's involved too, but I think you have to give Micah Shrewsbury a lot of credit here as well. What I was saying about Stefanovic, he doesn't get many good looks all night. He's a shooter. He's defined by his shooting. He's the best shooter in the Big Ten. Just like at, was it Michigan State? No, it was Penn State the other day where, they did a pretty good job on him. And finally, they all of a sudden back off. He's wide open for a second. He sticks the shot. Just being ready to shoot at all times and being just as good as you are at all times, I think really speaks volumes about Stefanovic. I thought Eric Hunter played really well, too. I know his numbers don't necessarily look like it, but his aggressiveness off the dribble, Purdue's guards' aggressiveness off the dribble, I thought was a big deal in this game. And, you got a team like Ohio State, where they really pressure you and they really try to take away your comfort zone. They really try to get into your cuts and they really try to, kind of take away what you want to do at all times. Purdue absolutely curled up in the fetal position against that last year. This time you saw a Purdue team that's going to attack. Eric Hunter really attacked, set kind of a tone for this game. I thought only turned the ball over once in 33 minutes. That's a big deal. Jaden Ivey, when he attacked off the dribble, did a lot of really positive things. Stefanovic, obviously, when he attacked off the dribble, did a lot of great things. When Purdue's guards are good and they're aggressive, and that's what I said right before the game, that as long as Purdue's guards play with assertiveness and authority, Purdue's got a good chance here, and that's exactly how it played out. I think, the upperclassmen, you have to give them all a lot of credit. Stefanovic, already talked about him. I'm not going to repeat myself, even though it's my natural inclination to just repeat myself over and over again. Hunter, I already talked about him. It's my natural inclination to repeat myself over and over again, but I won't. Travion Williams obviously shakes off foul trouble. He's got to get that under control to finish 7-13 for 16 points. Big buckets down the stretch, just playing like a great player, playing like a first-team All-Big Ten player. Aaron Wheeler, I know he's kind of the piñata on the internet, and I'll be the first to admit that, he obviously has his ups and downs, and his downs can be really ugly. But that last minute was, enormous for him. To take you through the last minute, he sets the screen on Stefanovic's three. Okay. He blocks Justin Ahrens' three from the corner to cap a great defensive possession when Purdue needed a great defensive possession, right? He gets the rebound of the free throw, the second free throw. Before that, he had the presence of mind and the open auditory system to hear his coach yelling to foul Dwayne Washington to put Ohio State at the line. That's four important plays there that Aaron Wheeler made in the final 53 seconds of this game. You got to give him a ton of credit. He wouldn't even been on the floor probably if Mason Gillis hadn't fouled out. So give Aaron Wheeler a ton of credit. That's not a situation he finds himself in all the time. But he rose to the occasion big time. He was dialed in. He concentrated. He knew exactly what to do at all times, and he did everything Purdue needed him to do and then some in that final minute. You have to give him a lot of credit. If you're one of his critics, you got to give credit where credit is due. Aaron Wheeler really helped Purdue win this game and deserves a ton of credit for that. So, as I said before, Purdue is just really coming on here. They seem to be developing a bit of a clutch gene here, where, it may not be necessarily flawless for 40 minutes, but that last minute and a half, is going to be pretty damn good. And that's just almost unspeakably important for a team as young, Purdue is the most inexperienced team in the Big Ten on paper. But in practice, they don't, not practice, but in application, they don't look, that's much better. They don't look inexperienced. They look, well, they probably do to a trained eye, but to the casual observer, they look mature beyond their years. And this is just coming together for Purdue, and they're building something really, really nice here. And as I've said before, this year is all about next year. If you can do something this year to set the tone for next year when you got, probably your whole team coming back and a couple of big additions coming in, great. But when I say that, I don't mean to suggest that Purdue's not capable of doing something this year. Because, again, here Purdue is with the most difficult part of its schedule, probably behind it, 3 road wins against 3 potential NCAA tournament teams, to show for it. Indiana and Michigan State might have some work to do here. But Indiana and Michigan State traditionally are NCAA tournament teams. Ohio State's absolutely an NCAA tournament team. You got 3 wins to show for that. You're 6-3 in the Big Ten, where, again, the Big Ten is a Cuisinart. It is a Cuisinart. It's like, as I said last week, it does to young team. It can do to a young team what a garbage disposal can do to a plastic fork. Purdue has been immune to that. They have found a way, to win games despite, their inexperience, and that's just incredibly encouraging from Purdue's perspective. And we'll see where they go from here. But 4 wins in a row against a schedule where you would have been lucky to get 4 wins to this point. I think under a lot of circumstances, given as young as Purdue is and all that stuff, really speaks volumes about how far this team has come in a short period of time. I have talked way too long over a way too long period of time now, so I'm gonna finally wrap this insufferable screed up. So this is Brian Neubert from goldenblack.com. Thank you to our sponsor, Purdue Union Club Hotel. Thank you for watching. Thank you for reading. Thank you for listening, and thank you for processing our materials. However you process our materials. We'll talk to you again Friday night after Purdue gets another crack at a quad 1 win when they host top 10. I don't even know what they're ranked now, 7th maybe, Michigan. So thanks a lot, everybody. Have a good morning, night, whatever it is.